Alright, so I've finished one half of the mother mold, and I've got the mother mold back on. Now, to the tutorial guys who say, just put it easily back on, that was a bear to do, because the silicone mold is not flexible. I've still got the master inside of it, so sticking the mother mold back on and getting the registration keys to all fit back in its specific spots was a pain. It took me almost 30 minutes to do. That said, it's back on. I've put aluminum foil on the flashing here so that the fiberglass resin won't stick to the fiberglass resin. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lovely petroleum jelly, blam, petroleum jelly. I'm going to spread petroleum jelly all around here and make sure that it doesn't stick to the wood or to the base of the silicone here. I'm going to put petroleum jelly up on the aluminum foil and basically petroleum jelly the thing. Yay. Then I'll take the mold release 200, these release, and I'll spray the entire thing. Just to make sure it doesn't stick. Now, this repositionable tacky spray. If you have not done fiberglassing before, this is your fiberglassing tutorial. This stuff, you want it. What this does is it takes the pieces of fiberglass and it allows you to place them in a general area that you want to work with. It sticks there, and then when you use the resin, it makes the fiberglass not just go everywhere. Now, for those of you who have not used fiberglass before, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial here on the two different things that you're going to be able to buy at the store. One says fiberglass mat. What it is it's a big pad of fibers, and the fibers are basically glued together with an adhesive, and the neat part about this is the adhesive melts and disappears as soon as the resin hits it. So yeah, you can pick up these fibers like this and like wave them around and everything, and whoop-de-doo, you got this mat. The moment that resin hits, these become 50 billion fibers floating around in the resin, and they're really easy to push around and slosh into little crevices and stuff. But they're hard to work with. They suck. It's great for curves, great for little crannies, etc. So for what I'm doing here with these little tiny registration keys that are 3/4 of an inch, with all this little bends and shapes I have to do here, I'm having to use the mat. Now, the cloth is excellent for large flat areas. What this does is it doesn't have an adhesive in it. It doesn't melt apart. When you put the fiberglass cloth on something, it stays in that position. It might bend a little bit. If I were to do it here, it would basically just form a tent right over this. So I would get a general shape, but I wouldn't get the nice fine details. This is great for things like, I don't know, like the side of a piece of armor, something large and smooth that you don't have to worry about fine details on. This is what you want to use for that. The mat is your fine detail stuff. Knowing when to use each is very key, and I cannot stress it enough. Get the repositionable adhesive. This stuff makes fiberglassing absolutely trivial. If you don't use this, when you use your brush to push this stuff around, to push the resin around, this stuff, on this, your strips are going to like slide all over the place because that stuff's really flippin' slick. It's like motor oil. So when you're impregnating this, unless it's stuck in place using the tacky spray, and this stuff with the tacky spray, the fiberglass resin is just going to wash it away, and you're going to have a pain in the butt time trying to get everything in position. Use the tacky spray. It's repositionable art adhesive, available at any of the major art stores. Get it. It's even available at Walmart. Just get it. Trust me, it's worth the $3 in just headaches. So get the tacky spray. Alright, that said, what I've done is I've taken the big mat, which is a 4 foot by 4 foot mat of fiberglass. I've cut little tiny squares. These are about 4 inches by 2 inches, 3 inches by 2 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sticky spray them on here. I'm using tacky spray. And then I'm going to put the resin on them, and they're going to melt into place. And just lay them all over, just like I did for the other side. And hopefully I'll get a nice second half of the mother mold. Continuing the fiberglass tutorial, when you're doing this, get these cheap chip brushes. They come in boxes. A box of them costs like $10, and you get like 24 of them. They're great, they're cheap, and they're disposable. If you want to reuse these when you're doing fiberglassing, you need acetone. This stuff here. This is also known as nail polish remover. If you need this much nail polish remover, you're having problems. The nail polish, the acetone, is also really bad to breathe. But what you do is you get a nice glass jar, like this pesto jar from the grocery store after you've eaten a nice dinner, and wash it out. You put some acetone in the bottom of it, and then you get a nice soda can, and it fits right over the top so that your whole paintbrush goes in there. And it soaks, and acetone actually melts the polyester resin out of the brush, dissolves it. So instead of being a fiberglass brick, you have a paintbrush again. Now this only works a few times, probably about 4 or 5 times, but it'll make your paintbrushes last a lot longer. The trick to the acetone is it evaporates flippin' fast. If I didn't have that covered, that entire jar of acetone probably evaporate in 8 hours. So when you're doing this, make sure you cover it up. If you got a nice big jar, you only need a little bit of acetone in the bottom for the bristles to get in, and just cover it up. So that's a tip there for people who are fiberglassing. So what I'm doing is, this is old Grouchy again, and I'm going to try to get this second half of the mother mold on here in the next 2 days and see if we can finish this puppy up and get ready for casting. So there we go. I'll let you know when I have another update. Bye.